And I apologize, had the opportunity 3 days ago, Friday afternoon, 6 o'clock, I stood right down here on this floor and had the opportunity to give a presentation and talk about things you guys do not want me to talk about. Things like foreign animal disease and biosecurity. So if I start saying any of those things, you can just throw something at me, I'll get back on topic for why I'm here today. But I want to, first of all, commend you all for being here. I've had the opportunity to work with Blue Key and remember the original conversations that created the Catalyst program and really allowed us to get this opportunity started. And I'm sure you guys have heard about Rich Nisler, the Blue Key and K-State alum who has made this program possible. And it's really when you think about how you want to make an impact and how you all look forward and say, I want to make changes in the world and what kind of difference you want to make. This is a man who said, the way I want to make a difference is dedicating some of my resources, some of the money that I have earned, and I want to give it back to young people at K-State who are committed and excited about making themselves better, because that's the best way for him to invest. So I think being a part of that is really exciting. My goal for tonight is to share with you a little bit, as Joe and Kevin have asked me to, about my self-development story and tell you a little bit about that, as well as relate it somewhat to the discussions that you all have been having this week. I will tell you that while I have the opportunity to speak a lot, in my role as Secretary of Agriculture, I get to travel a lot, I get to speak a lot, but I don't get to do things like this very often. So this is a joy for me to be able to really talk to you about some of the things and some of the pieces of advice I can give you. But on the other hand, telling you stories about me and what I've done are not necessarily my favorite things. So I will just choose a few things from my history and my past and give you a little insight on how I got to where I am and what lessons I have learned along the way. So there's basically 3 points that I want to share with you tonight. And the first one is relates a little bit to where you are, relates very much to where you are right now and how important this college time can be. So I think back to my experience and starting as a freshman, what it meant, and the piece that really stands out to me is this is an opportunity for you to make connections and build loyalty. And if that doesn't, if you don't connect to that right away, I want you to just look around the room and I want you to think about where you all are going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now, and then think about where all the rest of the people in this room are going to be and what they're going to be doing. I want you to think about the people you step by in class every day. I want you to think about the organizations you're in and maybe where that organizational president, where you think they might be in 5, 10, 15, or 20 years from now. College is an incredible opportunity to build that set of connections and to build loyalty with those folks that you will never, ever, ever have the opportunity to build like this again. I've had the opportunity to live in Kansas, Texas, DC. I've had a lot of different job opportunities, worked with a lot of phenomenal people. But I will tell you that nearly every day, I go back to a relationship I built in college for how I make something happen, for how I make a connection, how I help get something done. I laughed last night. We named the next Blue Key class, and several former Blue Keyers were texting me and they're like, this makes me feel old, there's a new class. I'm like, no, you don't get to feel old until you know the parents of the people that you see coming into Blue Key. That was my aha moment last night, because I have a friend from college whose son is in the current Blue Key class. I have another friend who she was my AR when I was a senior in high school, and her niece got into Blue Key last night. But I go back to those connections and those people that point, and I know how important it is to be able to build back on those connections. So for me, I think about a choice that I made when I was actually getting ready to finish college and trying to figure out what I was going to do. I had no idea what direction to go. I'm very passionate about agriculture. I like policy, I like politics, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what door that was going to open for me. I'd spent a lot of time in my last year of college being very active in student organizations, and I hadn't really spent a lot of time thinking about what's next for Jackie. So as I kind of made those decisions, I talked to some people that I very much trusted, back to those connections, people that I was loyal to and they were loyal to me. And one of those people offered me an internship to spend with him that summer And then through that discussion, I decided to do the internship and then head off to graduate school. So that summer, I was an intern at the Kansas State Board of Agriculture, which is currently known as the Kansas Department of Agriculture. And my boss sent me all over the state. I grew up in southeast Kansas, Girard, Kansas, Crawford County. If you've never been there, I grew up about 15, 20 minutes from Missouri and about 30 or 40 from Oklahoma. I had been to Western Kansas. I knew Western Kansas, I thought. You think that until they put you in a state pickup truck and you drive all over Western Kansas for an entire summer, learning about water issues and the Ogallala Aquifer and meeting people and making connections again and building loyalty with people that I didn't know, and I didn't know their towns, and I didn't know anything about them really until I had that summer. The rest of the summer, I spent on occasion here in the Manhattan area and others dealing with the fact that while they were running out of water in western Kansas, we had a flood in eastern Kansas. And I spent time with my boss and with others actually sandbagging right over by the Kansas River to help be a part of the solution in Manhattan and other places along the Kansas River. Some of the hardest working summers I'd ever had. I averaged about 75 hours a week on that internship. I worked exceptionally hard and I loved every minute of it. And I built a loyalty with my boss that summer that has paid off over and over and over again. And I will guarantee you, if I had not taken the advantage of that internship, had I not really made a connection, had I not built a loyalty with that person who gave me a chance, brought me in, and gave me an opportunity to really get engaged, that I would not be the Kansas Secretary of Agriculture. Because my boss today is the governor of Kansas. It's the same boss who hired me to be an intern for him in 1993. I will tell you that the connections that you make today, the connections that you make each and every day of your college career will pay off for you over and over and over again, as long as you expect loyalty and give loyalty. And if you will do those things with the people who mentor and connect with you, with the peers that you find you have things in common with, the opportunities it's going to provide for you down the road are numerous. And I don't care about your politics. I don't even really care if you like my boss, but I will tell you without question, he's one of the best people I have ever met. He is dedicated to the state of Kansas, he is genuine and loyal, and he is far nicer to his enemies than anyone I've ever known. So I will tell you that when I look back at my experiences and I think about college, I wish that I could encourage all of you right now and to just be able to sit there and I wish that you could see ahead. I wish you could see where all the people that you step by every day, the people that you have the opportunity to connect with every day, the impact that they can make. But they'll be better at what they do, and you'll have the opportunity to do more in whatever you choose if you just keep up those connections and you look for opportunities to be loyal. Mentors are critical and mentors are very important. In the last 3 months, I have lost 2 of my college mentors. Both of them passed away, one more unexpected than the other. But it's really made me look back and think about how important those connections have been. Those are 2 people who I guarantee you, I wouldn't have probably been student body president had I not met both of them, because they believed in me from the first time that I saw them. So think about the people who make you feel that way. Who have you met on this campus that you know believes in you? Who have you met on this campus who you know can help you get better and get stronger and find ways to work with them? And those connections will pay off again and again. Now, the second point that I want to share with you is also about people, but a little less about maybe mentors and connections and a little bit more about your peers. I want you to, this is mine, right? Not yours, thanks. I want you to think a little bit about who you surround yourself by. When you get to choose, who are the people that you pick to be in your circle? What do they look like? What do they think like? How talented are they? How smart are they? What do you choose? My advice to you is to choose well and choose talent. Every opportunity I've ever had, I've always attempted to surround myself by the smartest, hardest working, most talented people I can find. And I look back and I'm not sure why that's something that I did, but I'm going to go back to one of those mentors who I told you about that just passed away in the last 3 months. Spent a lot of time with him in college, and he was one of those people who, here at K-State, I don't know that this building wouldn't exist if he hadn't been here, in my opinion. He was the Vice President of Institutional Advancement. He worked for John Weefald when John Weefald was president of the university. John Weefald is going to have a building named after him. We know the new hall going up on the other side of campus. Bob Krause, his vice president, helped John Weefald make K-State what it is today. Bob Krause helped make me who I am today. And he did that because they both had the same philosophy of you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, more talented than you, and work just as hard as you every day. John Weefald knew that when he put his team together. As student body president, I had the opportunity on a weekly basis, and I just think this is a cool thing about K-State, right? On a weekly basis, I got to have breakfast with the Vice President of Institutional Advancement, the Provost who leads Academic Affairs, and the Vice President of Finance. Basically the president's top 3 folks. I met with them once a week, every week for breakfast, because that's how much they valued students. I learned from them how exceptionally talented they were, and I learned from President Weefald that his method of success was by picking people who were more talented, harder working, and just more of everything than even he could be. And I'm not saying that to knock the president. I'm saying that's how to be successful. To put yourself in every situation, surround yourself by people who are like that. So it's when you're choosing right now, your clubs and organizations. When you're choosing your study group, don't look for the study group in which you're always going to be the smartest. Look for the study group that's going to make you feel like you have to go home and work harder to catch up with them for the next time. Look for the organizations where you're going to feel challenged all the time. Start the organization that's going to give you the opportunity to do that. And when you graduate from college, do that in every opportunity that you have. When you go to your first job, don't just hang out with the other people who just started, who are just like you. Go figure out who the person is that's still at work at 6:30 or 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night and get to know them and see why they're so passionate about their job that they're willing to stay. Go find that person who gets in early every morning. Or maybe it's the person who organizes the weekend softball team because they know how important culture is in that office that you work. Whatever it is, wherever you end up, surround yourself with the most intelligent, talented, hardest working people that you can find. And then when God grants you the opportunity that you get to make the hires, do it over and over and over again. When I was the assistant dean of the College of Agriculture, I came into an office that the same person had been working for the assistant dean for years. She was the same person who had been there when I was in the job, and she was great. But when she decided to retire, I said, what do I really want my office to be like? And I tried a couple things over the next few years, and they didn't quite work for me. So I finally decided, you know what I think? I think the most talented, most intelligent, hardest working people on a college campus are students. And I want to man my entire office operation with student employees. So I went to my boss, told him my idea, and it never hurts in a situation like that to also point out I was going to save money if he would let me do it that way. And I hired 3 students to work in my office, started with 2 and then added a 3rd. By the time I left the office, we had about 5 or 6 student employees working in that office. 2 of them, one of them is now the assistant dean in the College of Agriculture, another's the events coordinator in the College of Agriculture. So it helped open doors for them to be able to get there and to get those kind of opportunities. But what it really did is, and Blue Key's used to this. I like to make comparisons about ag to the rest of the world on a regular basis, but I would have put that office up against any single office on campus for how hard we worked, what we accomplished, and without question how dedicated we were to purpose and cause. And those young people learned more things in that work and in that job that they were able to take into their professional careers than most student employees do if they're just in kind of a traditional student job. So even for your work, look for places that are going to trust you to do that. Look at Dr. Lenning's office. Look at other places like that. They're going to give you that experience. But when you get to hire, start thinking like that. I hired people who would challenge me. And when I left K-State, I took that philosophy with me. And I will tell you right now, at the Kansas Department of Agriculture, we have 340 employees. I don't get to hire all of them, but I get to hire a significant number of them. And getting people to think like that, it is amazing the number of people who want to hire folks who they think are maybe just right below them. They want to hire people who are smart, they want to hire people who work hard, they want to hire talent, but they don't want to hire people that are better than them because that may mean they're challenged. If you ever get around people like that, find a new place to be. And I will tell you that in our agency, we have changed the entire hiring philosophy. And we go after hiring people who want to be challenged and want to hire people who will challenge them. My executive team in the Kansas Department of Agriculture are all in their 30s. You look at any other state agency probably in the country, and I guarantee you're not going to find that anywhere else. Governor comes to our building, a couple of months ago, and he's just walking through, and he asked me, he said, how far did you drop the average age in your agency? And I never really thought about it. Our estimate is probably close to 20 years in dropping the average age in the agency. And I'm not saying that that's new employees are better than employees that have been around a while, but what I'm saying is we have really made an effort, I have made an effort by surrounding our agency with people who are more intelligent than me, they're more talented than me, they wear me out. I work as hard as I possibly can, and they're still at work. And that doesn't mean that you have to work 20 hours a day to be successful, but you want to go home tired. If you don't go home tired from work, then you're not challenged enough. You're not engaged enough. And it's very exciting, and it's a very fun place to be when you can surround yourself with people like that. So when you think about the connections you make and your opportunity to be loyal now, it pays off down the road if you will start now by choosing well and choosing talent. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is a little bit more related to the topic of today. And poor Mr. Oakes back there, he sends me the email, says this is the topic for the week and this is what I want you to talk about. And I'm like, I don't understand, you have to tell me more. And I spent a lot of time thinking about discontentment and dissatisfaction. And it finally hit me some point over the weekend that the reason I was struggling a little bit with this concept is I don't think I believe in either. Now I get completely why when you look at dissatisfaction is better than discontentment, that there's no reason to ever put yourself in a situation in which you aren't happy, that there's no reason to ever do something where you are not content, and that you should instead focus on your satisfaction. My argument is going to have to be that I'm not sure, this is just me, that I ever consider myself either content or satisfied. Because I think it's very important, and it's very important to me to always expect more and to always expect excellence. So the minute that I see myself as being content or satisfied means I think that it's time for me to go do something new. Now I'm not saying that I'm more of an expert than what you guys are talking about this week. I'm not saying that at all. And I get the point of it, but when I start to think about, for me, what does it mean? For me, it's really more about identifying how you can always do better. One of the things that we use strengths a lot, we use strengths in our workplace, and one of the things you talk about with strengths when you really get into it with people you're supervising and with a team is, you get into different things. How do you communicate with someone who is this, this, and this? Or how do you accept feedback? And I drive some of the people crazy that I work with because they want feedback in a very structured way. They want to sit down on a quarterly basis or an annual basis, and the state system says I'm supposed to fill out little forms on an annual basis. I don't do that stuff. When I have feedback, I walk in the room and I tell you. If we're in the middle of an event and I see something that I'm like, okay, that was good, but here's how we can do it better next time, I tell you. Now, I've tried to improve my ability as a communicator and supervisor and a leader by maybe talking with someone else, and not the person that's directly in charge of that event, and try to make it a little bit better, because you do that to someone who's running an event for the first time, you can kind of freak them out. So I've tried to improve my communication perspective in that regard. But what I'm really saying is when I'm analyzing whatever we are doing, I'm always looking for the way to do it better. And I started, I guess, to ask myself that question too, of where did that come from? And I'm going to go back again to my college career, and again back to those people I connected with, those people I developed loyalty to, and those people that I surrounded myself by. That's what they did. They always expected more. They never accepted no for an answer. They always believed that you could get it done. I am dealing with right now in the Kansas legislature a bit of a debacle. Not one that's hit most front page news, it's hit a few. It's not on your radar in most cases, but it's a project of mine that's sort of caught up in a little bit of a political spin. And I've sat in a room several times with a group of state leaders talking about this problem, and I'm amazed at the number of times I have to be the person who says, we will get it done. You can't expect to, if we don't expect to get it done, we will lose. The only way we're going to get this done is if we walk in the room expecting to win. Expecting more, expecting excellence, and not accepting no for an answer. And I believe that every day. There is no way I could do the jobs I've done and love them if I didn't have that approach. When I was a student, I got to be a part of an incredible project. How many of you have spent time in the library? See, all of you spent more time in the library probably than I did as a student. However, the library project, the beautiful library that you see now was, and you know, there are old pictures, there are stories, but to tell you that literally it was the truth, that to get to the stacks of books when we actually, used actual books to do our research, we would literally crawl through old windows between the different editions of the library to get from one part of the library to the other. That's how they did the editions. They built them up against the building, they left the windows open, and you would crawl through to get to the other set of books. I am not exaggerating, this is the truth, and I am significantly older than you, but not that old. So I'm telling you that this was not good. So students made the decision, first time students had ever done anything like this in the state of Kansas. Students said, we will commit $5 million, they voted on it during the SGA elections, we'll commit $5 million to redoing the library. If the university will raise $5 million, and if the state of Kansas will contribute another $5 million. And the students went first. Never done anything like that. I got elected student body president at the same time we got that ballot initiative passed. So it was my job to go get the $5 million from the state legislature and to work with the foundation to raise the other $5 million. That kind of led to maybe why I didn't spend enough time in the library or going to class, because that became my senior project, basically. But, I mean, you think about that, that's just daunting, right? It's a little bit crazy. But we had a good team. We had over 5,000 students who wrote their legislators, who filled out forms and sent them to their state legislators, and we got it done. We got it done because we expected more, we expected excellence, we didn't accept no, and we said we're gonna get it done. 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now, I sat in Topeka with my boss at the time, the Secretary of Agriculture, and we said, you know, I think the right place for the Department of Agriculture to be is in the city of Manhattan. Okay, who does that? Who says, let's move a state agency from one city to another? We were in a rented building, our lease was up, the building was awful, our employees hated it, and Manhattan, at least as far as I'm concerned, is the center of agriculture in the state of Kansas. It's not our true center, clearly. It's not the place where the most funds come, where the western Kansas, the Big First, is the largest agricultural contributing congressional district in the country. But Manhattan is the place where the first land-grant university in the country sits. The first land-grant university in the country. And that's cool, by the way, right? To be at the first land-grant university in the country. Well, guess what? Kansas Department of Agriculture is the first Department of Agriculture in the country. So why shouldn't we be in the same place? But tell me that that's sane, to say that we're going to move a state agency. But we came up with the reasons, we walked through it, we asked all the questions, we made the pros and cons list, and then we said, I think we can get this done. And we moved our agency and actually pay the same amount per square foot as we would, actually we pay less per square foot than had we stayed in Topeka and moved into another state building. So we also did it in a way that was good for Kansas taxpayers. Our employees are happier, and the way the agricultural industry has reacted to us being here is it's been phenomenal. But we did that and we pulled it off because we expected more, we expected excellence, and we didn't accept no for an answer. Now, I want you to point out a couple of things to you. Each of these stories I've told you about the library, about our agency, I never said I did. I haven't accomplished anything. I appreciate the introduction that Joe gave, but I will tell you that every single thing I've done in my life has been because I have built connections and remained loyal to people who supported me and vice versa, that I have surrounded myself with talented, smart, intelligent people, and I've surrounded myself with people who are willing to be a part of a team that's going to expect more, expect excellence, and not accept no for an answer. And so it's that combination of things, I think, that brings me here today and gives me a little bit of a message to share with you. So in closing, I just want to challenge you all to take full advantage of what this point in your life gives you. Because if I am any example to anyone, I will tell you that it all starts right here. You all brought talent and smarts and experience and family history. You brought all of that to Manhattan with you, right? But now it's your time to make it your own. And now's the time where you take that and you do something with it. And the decisions you make, sitting here as a college student, are the decisions that are going to impact where you end up 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 50 years from now. And they will be the basis for what all the good that you will do. So do all of those things with the best and most talented people you can find here, and take those ideas with you when you leave. So with that, I am done, and I will let you get on with the rest of your evening. So thank you.
All right, we have about 5 minutes allotted for questions. So what questions do we have for Jackie?
Where's your favorite place in Kansas?
Manhattan. I love home, but I love Manhattan. And if you ask me where my favorite place is in Manhattan, it's top of the world up on Marlatt Park. So.
What's the biggest challenge you had to overcome?
I think the biggest challenge I've had to overcome, and this is to those people who've had real life challenges, this isn't much of one. When I was a little kid, I lost my brother, and for me personally, that was my biggest challenge, but it also had a very, very strong influence on who I am today. Very strong. Professionally, my biggest challenge has been focusing my passions. Like I'm very passionate about what I do, but it's very hard for me because of that to know what's next. I mean, I joke a lot, this is kind of awkward because the job I'm in is term limited, right? You work for a governor, you accept a job, you know that it's got a last day. It's kind of like being in college. The thing about college is when you graduate, someone's supposed to hire you. Well, with this, I don't know what happens when it's over. It's just over. And I have had all these people tell me, Jack, you don't need to be worried. There'll be jobs out there. It's all fine. I just can't do I just can't just take a job. I am so driven by what I'm passionate about. It kind of limits my choices, and that's something that's a challenge for me. Hope that makes sense.
What's been the most rewarding position over the years?
I have loved every job I've had. When I was at K-State, I was like, I'm never leaving. This is the best job ever. I'm going to retire at it. And then I decided that students might not want to hang out with a 70-year-old as much as they liked hanging out with me when I started. So I love this job a lot. But if you ask me really about the most rewarding job I've ever had, I'm going to go way back in time and telling you it was being student body president. Knowing that people elected me to do a job, and that every day my job was to wake up and represent them, was exceptionally rewarding and challenging, and all of those things all wrapped together. One more? No more? All right, well, thank you guys very much.